They said you got into controversy with Darius is where I'm like, whose perspective is this coming from?
I think it's the people that are just in denial about the current state of St. Louis. I feel like growing up in the early 2000s, people were always telling me, oh, Detroit's such a rundown city. Detroit's so bad. And like all these stereotypes are being said. But right now I'm seeing that stuff ring true for St. Louis. This is my degree, and this,
Okay.
is not my degree.
So that's why the corners are all dinged up.
Yeah.
Has he ever
Got
landed
it.
standing up?
No, I try though.
Okay.
If you couldn't tell, I tried
I was
doing
gonna
it
say,
with
I
the
was like,
flip.
if it stands up, I'm walking away.
Try doing it with the finesse, you know what I'm saying? Welcome to today's episode where I have conversations with creatives and give you a backstage pass into the life of a content creator. And today I'm joined by, who wants to go first?
So, hey, I'm Jayvn Solomon. Are we doing titles or just names? Or are we just going to get into
Whatever
it?
you want them to know.
I'm Jayvn Solomon. We'll talk about more in a second.
Oh yeah, we'll get into it.
Yeah. My name is... You heard that, right?
I heard it.
Hey, Braden. Your speaker just spoke in tongues as JR was introducing himself.
Bro, I'm like, whoa,
Yo,
what?
I thought LeBron was like, this has affected my legacy.
Bro, my heart jumped. I'm like, bro, is there somebody behind me? Like,
Oh,
what?
wow.
No, 'cause that was crazy.
And then I look over and it's LeBron James and...
He's looking right at you, too.
Bro.
That's crazy.
No, Juwan Rice. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
He can't let
I
us
don't do
have our
anything.
moment in the spotlight. It always
can't.
has to be
He
interrupted by
can't. It always
something.
has to be around Braden.
Always.
I don't know
As if
nothing
the
about
height
none of
isn't
this,
enough
y'all.
of an obstacle.
I don't got shit to do with this. Hey, do you curse on this podcast?
Fuck yeah, we do.
Oh.
We do.
Oh.
Look, nothing's off the table, and that's why today. Let me pull up some of these things I got ready for us today.
Oh, God. There's a list.
Let me start the episode with, you know, whenever you really care about a loved one, and like sometimes you got to sit them down and be like, yo, you're making some bad decisions right now because you care.
Yeah.
And you want to see them come to a better spot, like go back and bounce back to greatness or further than they were in the first place. That's how I feel about today's episode.
Okay.
Because I know that the demographic that I am speaking to is going to be upset at something I say today. It's going to happen.
Who is that demographic?
The city of St. Louis.
The whole city, not...
County, I don't like St. Charles people. You're in this too. These hands are rated E for everyone. I got my
that's
I got my switch dock back here ready to go, bro. I'm gonna read you guys some headlines about
Okay.
St. Louis that I saw the past like week and a half. Wrong way driver busted in downtown St. Louis is 8 years old.
Bro.
But that's not the theme of today's episode. But I just thought that was like what
8 years old?
8 years old. 8 years old. Busted driving the wrong way. Next title. The real estate nightmare unfolding in downtown St. Louis. And this should hit especially hard for you because you have a business downtown. Here's another one. And that one's from Wall Street Journal.
Wall Street Journal?
Fox
Yeah.
2 says
Have
Wall
you not
Street
heard
Journal.
of this?
What?
Have you not heard of the Wall Street Journal situation?
No, what happened?
Oh, buddy, we're going to get into
that
it.
happened, and then everybody else responded. But this, I think, is also part of that. But
I'll leave you with this little bit of information. The AT&T Building
Yeah.
sold for about the same price as like a Clayton home.
I did hear that.
Yeah.
It was like $2 million or something.
2.3.
Yeah. Fox Business then says St. Louis downtown trapped in a doom loop, marred by empty offices, break-ins, and store closings.
Wow.
They're probably quoting Wall Street Journal too, because they said doom loop in that article too.
Doom loop.
Doom loop is crazy.
Doom loop is a wild term. But
Doom loop.
I'll give you two more. St. Louis
Yeah,
Post
that's
Dispatch said
disrespectful.
St. Louis firm is leading effort to sell downtown's Millennium Hotel. We all know about that building.
Yeah.
That should have been happened.
Yeah, it should have happened like hell ago.
That building should have went for $2 million.
That should have went for $2 million.
They're asking 8.9 for it.
That building is worth 8.9.
It definitely is.
Well,
but it just needs to be sold. It just needs to
It
be
needs
sold.
someone else needs to get a hold
I
of
think
it.
the
it's-
same issue. Not to cut you off, JR,
Yeah.
but I think the same issue that's been happening with AT&T is like having a car, selling it, and that car going through like multiple sellers. You know what I mean? Because ultimately the question is, what's wrong with
Facts.
AT&T is the exact same way, I think.
Yeah, I see that. It's got a lot of problems going
And the
on
seller's
with it.
hella desperate. So
That-
I don't know that as a
down
fact,
horrendous.
Huh?
You're that down horrendous.
You gotta be. Why else would you?
2 million, bro?
2.3?
2 million.
You have to be down
Which
pretty
is like
bad.
what, less than 2% of its value?
That building has been on the market for at least 11 years.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. So Millennium is just now hitting the market because they have the
which is eminent domain.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get into it. So the other day, Jayvn was out having the meeting and he said, "Yo, so I saw you did this interview with this Darius guy. What's the deal with that?" So then I was like, "Listen, honestly, you just need to see the episodes because that's probably the best way to get that information."
Which I did.
Which you did.
Both of them.
Because I remember when the first one came out last September, was it?
Was it September?
I had people approaching me at events that week that said, "Yo, I heard you got into some controversy with Darius."
Bro.
And I'm like, how am I just now hearing about this? What controversy am I
News
in?
to me, yeah.
I'm like, this is the first time I'm hearing about this. What controversy am I in? So you obviously were there for both of them.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
you also have an episode with him, which highly encourage you to check out Rated TK Podcast.
Yeah.
Do you think what we did was offensive?
To who?
You think
Offensive to who?
Do you think that the information and the things that were said in that podcast episode, all of them, were enough to for people to feel heard about?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yes,
You think so?
I do.
Okay. Why do you feel that way?
So I don't feel that way. I just know that it's got enough to upset people because the truth hurts. Really, is the simple answer.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying, upset who?
Yeah,
Because Darius wasn't
Yeah.
upset. So the fact that they said you got into controversy with Darius is where I'm like, whose perspective is this coming from?
I think it's the people that are just in denial about the current state of St. Louis. It's
true.
Because I said something to you the other day that I feel like growing up in the early 2000s, people were always telling me, "Oh, Detroit's such a rundown city. Detroit's so bad." And all these stereotypes are being said.
Yeah.
But right now I'm seeing that stuff ring true for St. Louis.
Facts.
Are we headed down that same path? I don't know. Sometimes it feels that way. I'm not even going to lie.
But you know what, though? The same economic developers that developed Detroit are now here in St. Louis.
Yeah.
So
I would like to see.
maybe, but
Yeah.
Detroit did have a turnover point.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to
And
figure out when St. Louis's
I
turnover
think
point
we're
is going to
there.
be.
So I think the question honestly should be less focused on are we there, because if we're asking this question, chances are yes,
Yeah,
we
we
are
are.
there.
Yeah, that's yeah.
But at the same time, and bro, I'm trying to fight back this real big verbal run that I want to go on right now, but
Yeah.
I'm a
We'll get into it. We got time.
I'm gonna temper it down a little bit.
We got
time. If we got to ask this question, we're already here, I think. And what we're not asking is what can we do to bolster this? Because I've heard a ton of Detroit comparisons, as recent as, what is it now? April something? Late
2 minutes
April,
ago.
mid-April?
Yeah.
A month and a half ago. Yes,
Yeah.
20 minutes ago, but also
Yeah.
a month and a half ago.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it was somebody from Detroit oh, yeah, I've been to St. Louis. It reminds me a lot of Detroit. I'm like, okay, well, knowing what I know about Detroit's glow up, and I think that's still happening, to be fair. I don't think they're there yet.
Absolutely.
But as far as I've heard, and I think you and Talia might have talked about Detroit and St. Louis being sister cities or some shit. I think that's an actual thing. I think that's a
Detroit has
legitimate
a lot
thing.
of big businesses there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They got GM.
Yeah.
We
Oh,
have
yeah.
big businesses here too, but it's
Yeah.
the big businesses are not really what runs the ecosystem. It's not what sustains the ecosystem.
It's so
Yeah.
interesting though, because you got Centene, Build-A-Bear, Boeing,
Yeah.
Enterprise,
Anheuser-Busch.
Anheuser-Busch,
Yeah.
Energizer,
Energizer
Rawlings,
as well.
Tums.
Rawlings,
Tums,
Happy birthday.
Bayer,
Yeah, Bayer.
slash Monsanto.
Yeah, Monsanto.
Yeah.
I know it's Danforth,
Yeah,
Wash
there's-
U,
Oh yeah, Wash U.
Edwards Jones.
Edward
Classic,
Jones. So that's 12 companies with Block,
Yeah.
Facts.
Multi-billion-dollar companies.
Facts.
multiple.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah,
who?
Stiefel.
Worldwide technology.
Worldwide technology. So let's just round up to 20 because I
Yeah,
feel
yeah.
like
Yeah, I think we
NGA,
did,
Like we can definitely
We've hit it.
round up
We've
to
hit
like
it.
20 multi-billion, if not trillion-dollar businesses.
Facts.
Jack Dorsey, who started Twitter, is from St. Louis. I'm account Twitter, even though it's under new ownership now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But I digress, right? So there's a shit ton of money here.
Facts.
And we always think that, or like I've been guilty of thinking like, oh, well, they're not doing shit until I see an article by like Business Journal St. Louis, like Centene's thinking of relocating. These are the implications for taxes. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
This is what they're doing here?
Yep.
So
Yep.
it's all very interesting, but like Dante, what was the root of your question after like, are we where Detroit is? Like, where were you going with that?
I think that we're at that point where it's like, okay, we need to take actionable steps like now.
Yeah.
Like
So
really
let me
like
ask you
years
this,
ago. Like I'd say like right before the pandemic is really whenever we needed to take steps. But like now it's like, okay, what are we doing?
So
what
like
are we doing?
we as in small businesses or we as in these multi-billion-dollar businesses that we just listed?
I think it takes all of us.
I think the multi-billion-dollar businesses are doing their job,
Yeah.
honestly. And I'm not saying it's a good thing whatsoever,
Yeah.
right? Just to preface with that. But I mean, they're here in St. Louis. Like, they occupy a space here. They pay taxes. In theory, they pay taxes here and all of that, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Allegedly.
As far as we know.
As far as we know, and it's not our business, right? But
Yeah.
like, they're here, and I think it is ultimately a bit of both, but like my question about like if it were the big businesses, like what do we expect them to do that's not already being done?
That's true.
Yeah.
Because realistically, I think that the expectation is people are expecting them to do what our city should be doing.
Now that is the conversation. That's the conversation.
I'm loving this already. And
Because it's tricky, right? Like you
in.
put like when we expect, I don't know, when you're dependent on like a big business. We saw this with the Rams. Like they can just say "fuck you" and get up out of here.
No facts.
And we got no say in it.
Exactly.
So I can't help but wonder how much should we put into this outside of our just general consumer behavior. You know?
Yeah.
I don't have an answer to that. Like I think it's an interesting question.
Yeah. Because, I mean, realistically, when you think about it, it's like, cool, we have blocked this downtown. Why are we leaving them responsible for taking care of our homeless community that's around their building?
And like, and to that, like, imagine yourself in that position, which it sounds like you already are, just based on how you even said that. Like, if you're in this position, do you want that on you?
Right.
You know what I mean? Sure, you got billions of dollars. You also got, I don't know. I don't want to say it too much because I don't want to make like a tremendous case for these like big corporations. They got their role in. They have their they have their role in things, but it's all very interesting, I think.
Yeah, it is.
I think one thing that these big corporations could do is, I'd say, help out small businesses more.
And creators.
So Braden, who's not on camera, or Mike said, and creators, and I think that St. Louis is like low key / it's a low key superpower to the powers that be, I think, because they just don't know, but like we know, like we can go to
people that are in the creator economy.
People
know.
who are in the creator economy know. I mean, most of us, if not all, have got like some level of national reach, right, or regional, in terms of the Midwest, right? So we know, and that, like, my theory is honestly that creative culture will rebuild the city, both St. Louis and every other one. So
I would agree with that 100%.
Yeah.
I think the creative culture is really like, it's really what St. Louis has, low key, like you said.
Yeah.
Because if we think about all the talent that comes from here, which sucks to say because it's like that means that they've left. And it's like they have to leave almost so that they can get certain opportunities. Like, I've thought about leaving St. Louis a lot, specifically like being a YouTube focused creator.
Yeah.
I have helped so many of my friends pack up their apartments, their houses to go move to bigger cities.
Yeah.
And then I see what they do and I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
So what's kept you here?
Wait, real quick before we jump into that, though, real quick. I will say the only company that I have seen that has actually taken an approach to incorporate creators is the St. Louis City soccer team? Because I feel like they use a lot of local creators and like really focus on that. I don't know what their approach was for that, but from an outsider perspective looking in,
They unfollowed me.
did they really?
Yeah, they unfollowed me.
You see that sticker right there?
I have a nice, healthy relationship with STLCDSC.
Yeah, no, I still support because they've supported people in the community, and I think it is a good thing for our city, you know. But
yeah,
you know,
but like I said, that's an outsider's perspective.
Yeah.
So
I catered for them once. That was like when they first launched. That was it. But I don't know what that led to.
So I got a pretty good relationship, and we've talked about this offline, but I got a pretty good relationship with them. And I was part of that. Let's see, it was the kid reveal. Like I did some other things with them in terms of like murals and such. But I would say that yes, like City SC has easily been like an archetype in terms of how like major entities can incorporate local culture. So you get like Mastermind and myself and like Damon Davis to do some shit around the stadium, in and around the stadium.
Yeah.
The three of us alone are like, you know, we operate in sort of different avenues in a way, but like for all of us to be able to contribute to this, and then like you bring in local restaurants, you know, all this other stuff. And granted, they weren't able to get to everybody, and I really hope they do reach out to y'all one of these days. I really do, because like,
remember that live stream video I did of the kit reveal?
Was that an unofficial thing?
No, it was real.
It was real?
That's real. Oh, Brandon's in.
Now he wants to sit in the camera.
Oh, God, Brandon's in.
Now
we got
he's
Brandon
in
in the
the
conversation.
I was just gonna pop one just for a quick second. I mean, we have all these huge corporations, huge businesses in town. The creator economy, as of 2023, was about a $250 billion industry, and by 2027, they're expecting it to be over a $450 billion industry. We have the artists, we have the music, we have everything here. We have the industrial buildings, we have all the talent here, and we always see the talent leave this city.
Facts.
Influencer marketing as of last year was estimated $21.1 billion. St. Louis, we have over 3 million people in this area. Like, why are we not investing in the people that are here? Like, I understand we see the big names, we think New York, we think big city, and that's great. Like, I think you got to have that balance, but also it's like, we have a lot of talent here. If people ever listen to my podcast, I always talk about people like Metro Boomin, right? We've talked about it. Metro Boomin has shaped hip hop the last 15 years, right? St. Louis shapes a lot of stuff. Jason Tatum, he's right there at being the best basketball player in the world from St. Louis. People like Brad Beal. The list goes on and on. Like, literally, St. Louis shapes music, but it's like we don't think we're good enough, so we're not investing in the people that are here.
Yeah.
And it's like crazy. So I had to jump on, because it's like, in the business realm, the numbers have to make sense, and we have it here. By the time companies want to work with us, we can only do a watered down version of our true potential, because they feel like they have to water down the art, the craft, the food, the vlogs. We have to water this down so someone that has been in charge of St. Louis for 40, 50 years, so they can be sold on it. But like, my thing and my advice to any creator out there is like, if you're not getting that support from the city, start creating your own stuff. Because when the numbers are coming, not just on social media, we know what it takes to make a viral video. When people are coming to your restaurant, they're coming looking at your exhibit, they're hiring you to make vlogs, you're traveling around the country, then hopefully St. Louis will hire you. We're not seeing that just yet. We're seeing them hire the watered down version of you, but they need to start hiring us, because I get more love from outside of St. Louis. I get a lot of love here, but companies outside of St. Louis are the reason I'm able to, leave my corporate job after 11 years, right?
Yeah.
It's not the St. Louis companies. I mean, I have great partners, great clients, but it was really knowing that I can make a huge impact. Like, people don't realize, a month and a half ago, this guy from St. Louis, like the MLB front office and owners, were watching my videos.
Facts.
They don't realize there's this huge $4 to $5 billion company that they're showing my videos around. This guy from St. Louis. Bro, we are changing.
Yeah, no,
we
that's
are
facts.
changing things.
So sorry, I had to hop on because
No.
like, bro, like that's how it just doesn't make sense. It comes down to like numbers, bro. We have all the fucking talent here. These companies have the funds that could help us go to the next level. We don't have to water everything down and just make it basic. No, we start this stuff. So sorry to jump in, but no, it's like the numbers, like that's what it comes down to. You can work with us. Like we want to see our city thrive, and we don't want to always have to leave St. Louis. Then we come back and we get the acknowledgement like, man, I knew you were great. I was like, but you had the funds to help sponsor us while we were here. Why do we have to go to like Chicago? Why do we have to go to New York?
Why do we have to go to other major cities in order to see our dreams come true and like be able to actually be at our fullest potential?
That's old St. Louis, man.
And it's
The
funny
whole mindset.
that you mentioned like the whole watered down version, because like they'll approach us with concepts where they're like, oh, we want to target like Gen Z, we want to target millennials, but then we give them a piece of content that's targeting those people because that's what really all of our audiences are.
Yeah.
And then they're like, well, the higher ups weren't a huge fan of this part, so can we change this? And it's like, okay, but the Gen X people, the boomers, are not my target demographic, nor is it yours for this campaign. So why are we why are we changing the piece of content so that it caters to that audience whenever you told me that you're trying to target Gen Z, millennials, the people that are really rising up to be the next generation of decision makers? Because boomers, Gen X, they're exiting the workforce. Mm-hmm. Why are we targeting them? They're just trying to retire and enjoy the last bit of life they have left. I know that sounds morbid, but it's like once you retire, you just enjoy the rest of your life.
Yeah,
you
no
chill.
facts. Yeah.
You coast. You go travel. You go to the coast.
Talk about the tourism. We're driving tourism.
Yeah, I mean, like we, I say this time and time again because like I feel like people are just not understanding when I say this. I've had people DM me on Instagram saying, "Yo, I watch your YouTube for the past like 2 years. I moved to the city because of the way that you paint it."
Here's the challenge, though, is that like we approach so many things, St. Louis and just maybe the western part of the world as a whole. We approach challenges with like this one thing is going to help. So if I followed Dante, I saw everything on Dante's podcast, and I was really gung ho about moving to St. Louis. So I moved to St. Louis. But then nothing happened, you know? So like I think the challenge there is like you can only take something so far. We can only take something so far from like any part of the experience, right? And it's while creativity has like hands down been St. Louis's like secret, not so secret weapon, collaboration is really, and I've seen this firsthand over the past like year and some change, starting with City, but also like with stuff that I've been doing with Lutopia, but like collaboration with people of different disciplines and similar, but mostly like a diverse mix of collaborators is really what's always, and we've known that is the shitty thing.
Absolutely.
Like I done lived around pretty much every single part of St. Louis my whole life, and unanimously, and it's not like it's a huge city, right? So it's not that different. But like wherever I go, unanimously, when there's an issue, people are like, "Oh, we need to work together. We need to work together to support, and we need to." It just doesn't happen. So we know that it's a key ingredient.
Yeah.
It's really coming down to the culture, though. It's the culture of can only be one.
So
there can only be one great creator. There can only be one vlogger. There can only be one social media influencer that makes it. Like, that's not true.
The irony of that too is like St. Louis is really big, as small as we are compared to the other cities. Like we're really good at like duplicating some other shit or like taking somebody else's idea to the. Maybe this is like a layer onto that can only be one, and I've heard it my entire life be referred to as like the crabs in a barrel mentality.
Yep.
I don't think that's just for black people whatsoever. I think that's for the entire region of St. Louis, and I don't say this to be negative. It's just my observation. I challenge anybody listening to and or watching this to say that that's not true. We are literally at Euclid and Del Mar right now. Are we not?
Oh my God. Del Mar.
If we look across the street,
literally.
Right? So like the disparities have like manifested into our physical land. And it's been that way. It's not like new. It's not sure COVID like catalyzed it to some extent, but it's been that, especially on Del Mar. But like it's just an interesting mix of things, and like we like to point blame because it's the easy thing to do, but like
There needs to be accountability, though.
There needs to be accountability, and
I'm not just saying like external accountability. Like
no, internal. I think that's
internal is just as important.
And I mean, we like Braden. Don't get off the couch now.
Braden's gonna have to take my seat in a couple minutes.
Oh yeah, we'll swap out.
Yeah.
Like the episodes with Darius. What was most shocking, and this is another thing we talked about offline. What was most shocking was that he was able, and the Wall Street Journal were able to call these things out in an instant.
Exactly.
Yes.
I think that's what shell shocked people the most.
Yeah.
The fact that a person could just hop off of a plane, step into our city, and be able to dissect and see what has been going on for years.
Because I tell you what, and I don't say this like from a pretentious standpoint, but I have found that when I say this, people take me more seriously. But like I was a speaker at South by Southwest in 2024. Rap horn, rap horn, rap horn, rap horn.
No, it's facts.
Yeah,
facts.
I'm gonna
That's
add
huge.
some sound effects to that because that is huge.
Yeah.
When I was down there, like I went down as a rep, talking about Utopia ultimately.
Yeah.
And what I came to realize is that there are so many people down there at the peak. I'm thinking this place is like the Stark Expo, all this shit I'm seeing, you know?
Yeah.
I get down there and everybody's talking about the exact same shit, from like wanting to see all of these things happen in their downtowns and cities, even the big cities like LA, London, like New York City. Everybody has the same issue in the West. And like personally, I've looked to Singapore for inspiration, and like Taiwan and some parts of China, etc., like overseas, right? But I get there, everybody's talking about the same shit. I talk to them about Utopia, like, hey, this is actually what I'm technically here for. And they're like, oh my God, this is like, you're from St. Louis. St. Louis is a really great arts. The first person I met down there, I shit you not, an hour off my flight, as close as I'm sitting to you right now, Dante, she's probably our age-ish, like from San Antonio. She said, oh, where are you from? I say, St. Louis. She's like, oh, St. Louis is really da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. They got a really great so-and-so. And this is the face that I made, but what I say out loud is, and I literally like reach across the table like, I appreciate you. You don't have to do this though. Like, thank you. She's like, no, really? Like St. Louis has a great art scene. They got this, that, and the third, and starts listing off specific things. And in that moment, I'm like, people know about St. Louis. Not only people know about us, but like the first thing she didn't say, like she didn't say like gonorrhea or whatever as the first thing, you know, like, not to be like mean or anything, but these are the headlines that I see on a national level. So, and that's another, media plays a role in this as to not get terribly conspiratorial. But I talked to so many people after that for like the next few days, ranging from Texas to England to like France, Greece, around the world, save for Asia, and unanimously everybody like had great things to say about St. Louis, which has really fucked me up because it got me thinking, and it like made me ultimately realize something that I kind of already knew, which was that it's definitely some kind of energy. Darius phrased it as a dark cloud. I don't disagree. I don't know if those are the words I would use, or I don't know if any of his words are the ones that I would use. But he was definitely right in that regard. Like there's some sort of internal, like based on all of our past traumas. You know, we talk all this shit about the World's Fair, which was 120 years ago.
Yeah,
really
that's
that
actually
far?
on my talk.
1904 was 120 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's
but the
2024,
waffle cone
God.
was invented. Okay, what have we done since then?
We're talking about shit a century and a half ago.
Yeah.
You know, rounding up, obviously.
around
but like,
quite a bit.
But you know what, though? That brings up a good point, though. Because if you look at what the World Fair did, it brought people to St. Louis.
Yeah.
But what's keeping people in St. Louis? And that's the thing that I think about when I look at downtown now. Cool, we have the assets to bring people downtown, but what are we doing to keep them downtown? We have the soccer game. We got the Cardinals
We're building
game.
more residential buildings.
But what restaurants do we have to support that? What grocery stores do we have to support that? What activations do we have to support that?
Yeah.
To keep people downtown.
And in my learnings, research, professional expertise, blah, 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 I've learned that what brings people to any space, let alone like a downtown center, is all the things you said, primarily though, things that are family friendly. So like not to be like stereotypical, this is literal data, right? But like when people see groupings of women and children and families, they think, oh, well, this is solid. I'm gonna come here because it feels safe. It looks vibrant, teeming with life, all of that. So like to that exact point, and I know who I'm talking to, right? I know who Radden's gone, but I know who I'm talking to.
Yeah.
As great as our food is here, we need more than that. Like we can't stay at Rated TK for 4 hours.
Facts.
Right? And you don't want nobody there for 4
Facts.
hours, right?
Yeah.
So what, like, how can you send them across the street? You're at what, 10th and Locust?
11th and Locust.
11th and Locust? Like, yeah. And then Wash Ave. It's just this whole thing, man. But like,
And that's the closest destination to us is Wash Ave. It's like our clientele, we can't necessarily just send walking down the street to Wash Ave. You know what I mean? So it's like, it puts us in this weird
love to Wash Ave,
spectacle
but
of
y'all
like,
know.
cool, these people came from the county or St. Charles or
Yeah.
St. Peter's to come downtown and try Rated. But what are they doing after that? There's no place they can go to get drinks. There's no place they can go to get a cigar, like where they feel safe and comfortable.
Or shit,
like,
just to go shopping.
that too. Exactly.
Retail is tricky though, because like St. Louis and malls, man. Like I don't.
Oh, it's terrible. Like I don't even understand.
St.
Like,
Louis has a really funny relationship with retail that I don't even fathom. Like, how could you not manage to keep a Macy's downtown? You know,
That
like
part, that
that
part.
should be the lock.
Yes.
Of like.
No facts.
That should be like an anchor.
Macy's is probably helping keep the Galleria alive, high key, and whatever other malls, right?
Yeah.
But
No, 100%.
That's crazy.
It's one of the anchor establishments. It's like people will go there for that, and then they're like, "Oh, well, this is here too. This is here too. This is
but
here
not
too."
only that, most of the garments were produced downtown.
yep, in the garment district.
That's why it's called the Garment District.
Yeah, that's like crazy to
where the
be
name
able to
comes
say
from.
that we couldn't even sustain a Macy's where some of the garments were literally being made up the street. Like that's crazy.
So I've been part of, what is it now, April? So I've been part of at least 4 or 5 questions nationally pertaining to specifically like how we can revive downtown, right? Starting in January. And I'm gonna tell y'all some key stakeholders that might be of interest. So Urban Land Institute, ULI,
Okay.
Greater St. Louis, we know. SLDC, we know. The latter two, to all of y'all watching in St. Louis, those are the folks who are helping drive development and as well as attract talent to the city of St. Louis for like economic prosperity. So those are the people, in addition to the city, like
Yep.
that develop these things. So a group of people from around the country, any big city you can name in the U.S., they were in the exhibit in January to kick off this week of like, you know, reimagining downtown, a specific like main core of downtown. And they asked me like, well, what do you think? Like, what do you think of downtown? You do all this Lootopia stuff. You put all this cool stuff on buildings. Like, what are your plans? Are you plan on going downtown? And I'm like, honestly, I don't know. Like, it's out of my power as to how downtown chooses to revive itself. I certainly wouldn't put it on myself to do that.
Yeah.
If you gave me $1 trillion, I could probably make something shake, but otherwise, maybe not.
Yeah.
But they asked me point blank, like, what do you think of downtown? I said, downtown is a ghost town. Now,
I
this
used
is
the exact same sentence.
this is
Yeah.
because you were part of that shit too.
Yeah.
So so they had a series of interviews the next day on a Tuesday where they asked a lot of people like us, most of our peers actually, not most, but a lot of doers in St. Louis in all types of different avenues of life, like this question: what do you think of this, that, and the third? Were we in the same? No, we weren't.
No.
In the same one, but they asked like 4 of us at a time with other representatives from around the country in the room. And the unanimous like consensus was that like it's really great that they're asking these questions, but how many more surveys, how many more reports, how many more think pieces, how many more words do we need before, you know? And like I feel like we might have talked. I think you were going in when I was coming out.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
So I talked to a lot of people after that, and I won't really name drop, but like entrepreneurs, city workers, etc. And everybody's like, this is great, but like what's happening with this information?
Yeah. And that's what it was. It's like, okay, cool, we give you all the fucking data that you need to make it happen. But what's the next steps? We know that the money's in the bank account, first of all.
Yeah.
We know there's billions of dollars that has been given to the city of St. Louis to make change, but what's going to get the ball rolling?
Where's the action that's being taken? Because you have all this information so that you can develop at least an okay blueprint as to what to do next.
Right.
When are you going to do it?
Yeah.
When's the first step going to be taken? Because you can plan for the next 100 years. But during that 100 years, you're going to watch things continue to crumble, continue to spiral into the wrong direction, disarray, and it's going to be even more of a graveyard.
We also know that plans, famously, thanks to 2020 through 2020, well, beyond, right, is today o'clock. Like, we know that plans, you can lay them out as best as you want, but it's just
exactly
shit happens.
I know the answer to the question, but I just don't know how it makes sense. You know what I mean? The answer to the question is why there's no progress is because they're waiting for people to step up to the plate and take initiative.
The doom loop.
It's like a conversation.
That's
of like,
a doom loop for your ass.
Exactly. That's where the doom loop comes in.
Yes.
If me and Dante are staying in the same apartment and there's a bag of trash and he's like, hey, can you take the trash? I'm like, yeah, I got it. And then I ask him, hey, can you take out the trash? And we're going back and forth and nobody's taking out the fucking trash.
The
There's
trash
a problem.
is just going to get
There's another bag
stinkier.
popping
It's
up.
another
There's
bag.
another bag.
You got
Food's
rodents
rotting.
now.
You got maggots.
Exactly.
Oh,
yes.
And that's what is happening.
That's the doom loop
city
right there.
is looking at the city people,
St. Louisans.
St. Louisans, there we go, cityers. The St. Louisans for advice and what they should do, but then they're also looking at us to take initiative when we're looking at them like, hey, we gave y'all the fucking idea. It's time for y'all to take initiative.
We gave you the information because you asked us what we want to see, how we're
Not
feeling.
to mention they hold the money, so
Yeah,
it's like
what am I gonna do? Like, here's like it's a little bit of money so you can make a difference. It's like it's barely enough to cover a damn latte. Like,
damn.
God,
Inflation going crazy.
inflation is going crazy.
It is crazy. It's nuts.
So, and like you're absolutely right. And I honestly have leaned into the whole like show me state ethos because it's like, fuck it. Like that's absolutely the attitude of St. Louis for sure. So like it's tough, man, because like as much and like I pay taxes, not even allegedly, like I'm literally going to do that. I'm a couple days late, but I'm going to do that after this.
Yeah.
So like I pay
your taxes,
taxes.
people.
I gotta pay your taxes, bro.
Pay your taxes.
Say what you will, you still gotta pay them shits. You know what I mean? So like, I'd like to think myself a good enough citizen, right? So. Like having met with government officials, both like individually as well as just like going to town halls and all of that, you can just see in their eyes.
Yeah.
You know, when you go, like when you got a substitute teacher or some shit, or even a regular teacher, and you see in their eyes, like today, I just got to make it through this day. You know what I mean? Have you ever seen that in your teacher's eyes?
Yes.
I see that personally in a lot of like government officials' eyes. It's fucking hard work. It's really like I don't envy anyone in any level of governmental position down to the fucking postman, right? Like, I don't envy any of these people. However, this is the job that you took on, right? So it's not like somebody held a gun to your head and said, do this.
It said you're going to be a decision maker.
You opted into this.
Yeah.
So now you have to like follow through with this. And like what I wholly disagree with, because like, yes, there's all of this. Like I said, it's easy to complain. I find myself even now like slipping into just like that low frequency energy because it's so easy to do.
Yeah, it's true.
But like what I would push back on both Darius and this Wall Street Journal D-bag and anybody else, all the other people who are like coming to St. Louis now and forever, is like what they don't factor in. Darius used the word passionate, like about folks. You mentioned siblings and like giving them a stern talking to. So for me, St. Louis is like in a much older sibling or relative, right? And sure, this person's got their problems, but the moment you talk shit, I don't care what city I'm in. If I'm in NYC, LA, London, of course, they don't really know where St. Louis is for the most part in general, but like...
You know what's crazy? Is now that I think about it, it might have been Switzerland. I was in Switzerland on a train, and the lady next to me asked, hey, where are you from? And I said, oh, I'm from St. Louis. And she said, oh, the Arch.
Yeah.
I'm like, and she barely spoke any English. It was mostly Swiss German. I was like trying to decipher what she was saying. But like, she said, oh, the Arch. Mm-hmm. And then she pulled up a picture of it and showed it to me. And I'm like,
yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
We have a great city.
We have a great city. And the
We
Arch.
have one of the biggest monuments in the Midwest.
I think it is the biggest monument in the country.
Yeah.
I'm pretty
that's
sure.
That's even more reason
Yeah.
of like, yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
That is crazy.
And it's a pretty damn remarkable one
Bro,
if we're really looking at it.
It is, and I say this with a little bias, right? And I used to work downtown on Pine. So like I would drive in and every day think like, oh my God.
Yeah.
That thing is cool.
This is the most beautiful fucking, and I still think that to this day.
Yeah.
Same.
And I don't think it's fucking close. Like Statue of Liberty is cool and all that. That's more of a historical thing.
Yeah.
The bean is aight, but nobody's fucking with that arch. And you can go inside of it.
Facts.
To
Who's
the
going
top.
inside the beam?
Who's going inside the
Nobody's
bean?
going in the beam.
Who wants to go in this?
Who wants to?
Who wants
Yeah.
to?
Who wants to do that?
Yeah. No.
What
We're
I'ma
gonna
do
get
in
all
this
the
little
Chicagoans
lagoon?
hating us.
Yeah, they all. Yeah, no.
You said all Chicago is hating us?
Yeah, they
Who
gonna be
gives
like,
a fuck?
just because we said that.
I don't care because I honestly think we need to a lady from London revealed to me who came in through one of these efforts, right? Says to me like, St. Louis really has this like internal narrative issue, and I think the challenge is like you all are trying to sell each other on how good the city is, when really you could be like sending this out to the world and presenting yourself as a global city. And
that's what I've been trying to tell people.
well,
I'm like,
the messaging is kind of split, I think, because
Yeah.
there's then old and new St. Louis sort of come to figurative
Yeah.
blows with that.
Yeah.
Because we know this.
Yeah.
But there are people who, and rightfully so, like we had DSEG fucking 40 years ago. Not that long ago. 50. Probably like 50 years ago. Our parents, give or take, like were part of the very first desegregated system of things.
Yeah.
So you add that to all these fucking developers who have made these promises and who haven't done who've done a myriad of not great things, right? Because it's a spectrum.
That's a good way of putting it.
Right? Leaving people in all types of economic despair. You got these fucking people owning spaces that aren't doing shit, like literally just letting them sit to rot. You got politicians who are going to jail left and right, redistricting, redlining, all this shit stacked against us. And in time, I would argue, since the World's Fair, maybe, or the last 100 years, like there's just been this gradual, just like culture of just like low self-esteem, I would say, like around the city, and it's clear, but now it's very different. So like the challenge is, and you should actually speak more to this, like, what do you think of like St. Louis being presented as a global city externally?
I think that we have everything that we need to do that. I think that there's a core problem, and I know every city deals with it, but it's racism, honestly. Like when you think about the way that the St. Louis city has been set up, and you think about the black communities and how there was a black community that got burned down, and now they pushed us in this area, now they push us in this area, and then they look at us and they put that mentality, oh, there can only be one Negro from this neighborhood that's successful. That has been instilled in us to this day, but it's like, what do we need to do to switch that? How do we stop the doom loop? Like, that's really the biggest question.
Because there's a lot of conversation about St. Louis needs to change its narrative. We need a whole story. And like,
The crime headlines. And
bro,
all
I
this
have
stuff.
I have been presented with, by my algorithm, my phone, whatever you want to call it, so many articles and headlines about just this. Like, St. Louis needs a new narrative. This fucking morning, might have, wherever my phone is, screenshotted it. I sure did. Sure as shit did, didn't I, y'all? So what it says,
I am too.
and I quote, is that St. Louis needs a unified purpose.
Yes.
What are you going to do? Are you going to plan for that? Or are we going to have another town hall about, like, what is our narrative? What is our story? Or should we just, like, it's so incredibly difficult to do novel things that you're passionate about. We're all freelance / business owners here. We know this. It's hard as shit. And there are people online who are selling us on these dreams, both locally and abroad. And it's, it just is what it is. But like there's several sets of stimuli that make us want to do things, but it's just terrifying to do, right?
Yeah.
We know we need it, but holy shit, what do I even do? And it is so easy, like personally, to be able to pick any reason in the book to be like, well, statistically, this isn't like likely, so I guess I'm gonna just go back to doing this thing and just hope somebody else takes it on. Like, I think that is the general ethos, and maybe this is a humanity thing. I think it probably is, but we live here, damn it. So that's something that I've observed with like a lot of folks. But what inspires me, honestly, is that we are actually answering this question without. Sure, we're sitting here talking about it because, I surmise this is break time for all of us in a way.
Yeah.
But as soon as we part ways, we're on to get to doing something to just like represent, yes, internally, but also, St. Louis is just a difficult market, especially if you got a brick and mortar, right? So like you, to an extent, have to reach outwards. It's just the truth of things right now. But I think what inspires me for sure is there's so many of us that is representative of this new wave of St. Louis that are all doing it. I don't know, but then like I can't help but wonder, are these things necessary from external folks to like jumpstart the actual conversation?
But it's also about the delivery as well.
Yeah.
So like, let's say for example, you have a sibling, they're older, they're not doing nothing with their lives. If you go up to them and say, "Hey, you're a fucking piece of shit and you don't do anything," they're gonna take that differently than saying, "Hey, bro, realistically, you're not going to be successful if you continue to go on this same route that you're going on." That's going to hit a little bit differently than, it's about the approach and the delivery. That's really what it comes down to. And I think that their approach and delivery was not accurate, but I think that the information that they were saying was accurate. And so we get so blurred at the fact of the approach that we forget about the true message of what they were actually saying. But that's why people get defensive. And so that's why I'm like, these type of conversations has a different delivery that I think people will be more willing to listen to and more willing to accept of like, hey, they not just yelling at us and telling us what we're doing wrong, but they're actually giving us solutions to the problems that they're bringing up as well. And that's another key thing. You can't just say and complain about the problems and not give a solution.
I try to do that just in everyday life. Like, I don't like to bring up problems with anything unless I at least have a concept of a solution.
Exactly.
And it's a hard thing to do, right? Like,
yeah, it is. It's very challenging.
It's a really hard, because it's just, we have so many tools that make it easy enough, these included, to just like sit here and rant for a little while and build a lackadaisical, or however you say that word, community around just like our lacrimosity, if that's a word, just sadness and emo-ness. I wasn't threatening violence to you, Darius, just to be clear. People were pissed, bro.
People were mad. Yeah, people were really upset. I mean,
they were mad at us.
They were mad at, apparently, controversy.
Yeah, I'm like, they're mad at us. You serve that man food?
It's like, what? What?
Was he? You asked him how would he describe the food scene, and what was the word that he used?
Oh, what did he say?
Despicable?
That may have been in one of the words. Yeah, one of the words.
I wouldn't be
There's multiple
surprised.
words.
Yeah,
it was in that space.
It was like something like tragic or something.
Something like he said all of these words.
It was a synonym of what we said.
Yeah.
Were you asking him about the black food scene specifically?
So that's what I was going to
overall?
say. It's because he was here on a black restaurant tour. So that
at least for the first trip.
Yeah, for the first trip.
So that was
directed towards the black restaurant community.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
It's just a little disrespectful is all. Yeah, the delivery.
It's the delivery.
Yeah, because the second trip, he was just like, I'm just going to try food.
Yeah.
Yeah. He should have led with that, honestly.
He found what he wanted. Yeah. It just wasn't in black restaurants.
Yeah.
But it brings up another conversation. How do we hold our people accountable?
We have to lead that is the question. Yeah. And I don't hate it, but it's just the truth of things. Like people, I can tell you to do one thing as long as I would like, and you could just stare me in the eyes, and it's just gonna go right out your ears, out the window. But because until you ultimately take the step to do the thing, and even then, like, what are you referencing? What is your frame of reference or excellence locally that you can look at? Because it's really hard to. Everybody doesn't have the money to travel. Everybody doesn't.
True.
You know, there's privilege exists everywhere, right? And a lack thereof. So like everybody can't fucking go to not pointing to you, right? But like everybody can't go to Chicago or New York just on the spot.
Right.
Yeah.
Just, you know, to do the bear thing, right? And like study all these other restaurants.
I do think that even just if it's a weekend trip, people need to like do whatever they can to at least visit another city.
Bro,
because
travel is...
within a 5 mile rate, or not 5 mile, wow, that'd be crazy. Within a 5 hour radius of St. Louis, we have cities like Nashville, Memphis, Chicago,
Kansas City,
OKC.
Tulsa, like
Indiana. No,
well,
might be a little out.
that's like maybe 6.
Yeah.
But like still, that's another destination. It's like we have so many other places that you can go to.
Yeah.
And a train ticket's like $40 round trip.
Yeah.
Not even joking.
Bro, even if you can take a train to San Francisco right now. It'll go Denver to San Fran, but even so, I think that's maybe without a sleeper car, that might be a couple $100, which beats the shit out of a flight.
No.
Of course, it'll take 3 days to get
Right,
there.
it'll
take you a little
Now
longer.
you're sightseeing, it's an
Bro, and
experience.
it's just beautiful. It's beautiful. Yeah, like travel.
Oh god, it is so pretty out there.
San Fran has to be like on the top list of like, if I retire, that's where I'm moving.
Yeah, it's
San Francisco.
Yeah. I
mean,
loved San Francisco when I was there.
I'm not
I
saying it's
enjoyed it
bad.
too, but like it's going through its own shit right now too.
Bro, and it's
Quite
is.
literally,
It is.
there is an
No, it
app on
is.
your phone you can download to find shit on the street.
What is
Like
it
quite
called?
literally.
feces.
What's it
Yes,
called?
like actual human shit.
What's it called?
I can't remember the name of it, but it exists. Like you can open the app, report like, there's poop here, and you can.
Really?
Yes, I'm not even shitting you
So
right now.
the thing is,
I'm not like that's 100% real.
so I absolutely think, and I'm not like super keen on travel, but it's very important, especially considering like it's everything. So many things are a train ride away.
Yeah.
If you can't get there from here, you can go up to Chicago and really.
But you know what though? You know what's even crazier? So we can travel through this.
Facts.
We don't necessarily have to
I'm like,
pick
what
up
you-
our shit and go
You got that
to get
portal.
inspiration. Yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck? Just Rick and Morty?
Damn.
No, that's funny. But like I don't necessarily have to travel to get inspiration.
That's real.
On new food techniques.
Yeah.
I can go to Instagram or TikTok and do some scrolling and get inspired. Like so there really is no room for excuses at all.
You said it, bro. Not you said it, not
Like
me.
seriously.
You said it. Like, and it's like again, like it. I don't want to discount you because you see so many people online. It's easy. Why don't you just get up off the couch right now? It's $20 for a class because, like, again, that's also the easy thing to do. But I mean, not. But it's just it'd be remiss if I didn't continuously say like how hard it is to just have the discipline. You know, in the age of where like we have all these devices ready for us to look at. We got all this whatever vice, chasing us, like making it easy for us to do things. So yeah, it's difficult, but that's like the necessary thing for sure.
I'm gonna trade with Brad in a few minutes.
Well,
Let's do a pause then. Let's do a pause.
Hold on. I got one more thing before I go. I would love to see these multi-billion-dollar companies that are housed in St. Louis to do things on a smaller approach. So, like, for example, like Anheuser-Busch can spend $100 million on an ad. But how about a $100,000 ad that uses local talent that then works their way up to that $100 million project? That's what I would love to see. Because we know that they have the money, but they're not using the local people on those smaller scales.
So this is the thing that I am personally advocating for and like doing, not even advocating for, but like the Lutopia exhibit is a representative of that. So like Block sponsored it as well as Rack and Missouri's own Cannabis. Shout out to y'all for the edibles. But
Lit.
I mean, yeah, that's we'll do a special segment on that. But like that, is definitely something that like I actively do my best to demonstrate is like these people that are here, you don't have to just tap into Monsanto or the basic folks, right? There are people who spend a shit ton of money on things that we judge hard all the time. So what happens when we like make a proposal or make a pitch? It might be hard, it might be work. You might not get paid for it, but like somebody's got to take that step to be like, this is the idea that I've had. Please, figure out a way to keep it between y'all or whoever sees it and be like, can we do this?
Yeah.
Y'all did this for $100 million. I just want 20.
Right?
20, not 20 million. I would love $20 million.
I was going to say, now listen.
20K.
Not gonna shy away from that.
No, absolutely not. And if you're watching and if you
please.
got the change, the coins, let's talk. All right.
Yeah.
So I just want 20 to 30K. That's all I'm asking. And I'm going to do it for this, time stint. These are the details. This is the rough budget. And I'm not going to say that's easy, but because it's, it sounds easy to say, but like we got ChatGPT that can fucking get you there. Like all you need is, I think at this point, like the idea and to be able to sort out the details and then present it to whatever the people that I mentioned earlier or whatever like billionaire company. Because like that, yes, there are people looking to take those like looking to invest in the local folks who want to take those steps. I think part of the challenge is, while we like to point to the top, another challenge is like going back to this question. Yes, it is us who needs those of us who know anyway. It's our job to be able to like take those steps because what's gonna happen, bro, and it's already happening to the point of the developers in Detroit coming in. Yeah, there are a myriad of reasons that I believe people will be moving to St. Louis. I don't love doing the whole I predict thing, but
it's a proven fact, though. Yeah, it's a proven fact.
And there's existing documentation out there that says people are already moving inwards. For one, cities like San Fran and NYC, unaffordable.
I was gonna say the cost of living
alone
of St. Louis compared to New York, it's crazy.
And what I see with the articles like WSJ did is like, hey, flag, there's cheap real estate here, come by now. That's what I'm seeing when this shit happens. It's on the front page of Wall Street Journal.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's
crazy.
Insane.
That is crazy.
Why else would you do that other than to say, somebody come invest in this, please?
Yeah, no, facts. I'm gonna head off, but I wanna talk about another point that you said. We also have to make sure that our local creators are where they need to be. Like if you're working with Anheuser-Busch, you're not gonna send them a fucking Cash App request for $20,000 to work on their project.
Yes.
So you have to have the means and show up to the table with the expectation of you getting that deal. It's like set up yourself for success. That's all I got to say.
I know that both of you have time commitments in the next 7 minutes. So,
no, mine was my meeting started at 12. It's 12:07, so I'm gonna head out.
I think we'll go ahead and wrap up the episode. So
hold on, because I still got 10 minutes.
Let's have our final.
Yes, 10 minutes. I don't know if Brandon wants to tap in for the last 10 minutes, but
Brandon, can you tell me how we're doing on that mid-camera storage? Because I think it's almost full.
5 minutes.
5 minutes. Okay, so we have 5 minutes.
We got 5 minutes.
All right, peace out, bro. Thank you for joining us on the podcast. We have 5 minutes of storage left, so we're gonna make the most of it. Braden has been brought in, and we are going to.
Here comes a new challenger.
Real shit. One thing I do want to revisit is earlier you asked me what keeps me in St. Louis, and I'm also going to ask both of you the same thing, but I'll answer first. The thing that keeps me in St. Louis, I would have to say, is there is part of me, because the easy thing would be to move to like LA, New York, Chicago, some other city that has an established creator economy for what I want to do and make it. That would be the easy thing to do. But there is some part of me that this motherfucker is interrupting my monologue. Get your AirPods out of here.
All right, appreciate it.
There's some part of me that really believes in St. Louis, and that we're at that point where we need to start taking actionable steps, but I see us doing it. I feel like we're going to do it. I believe in that because we have people like us that are going to be the catalyst for change. Unless y'all are about to tell me you're dipping out, then I might be out too, but
I'd be lying if I said I didn't think about it. Like,
I think about it. I've thought about it as recently as yesterday. I'm like, if in the next year, where do I see myself? Do I want to like move to a different part of the city, or do I just want to like move to a different city? You know. But I think it's really the people that keep me here.
The people for sure.
I think it's the people.
The people and the costs.
And the costs. But
Yeah.
even the cost is getting outrageous.
Not compared to these big cities.
But like, well, I'm talking about, like, let's not look at them. Let's look at what's going on here. Let's look about how hard we have to fight. At least me personally, I have to fight to get $500 on a project. Yeah, these places are. Yeah, no, it's crazy. It's crazy. People don't value video services.
We should. Yeah.
Yeah, we could talk about that. That's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, that is.
But it's like but then you have these new developments popping up every 3 months.
Yeah.
That are going to charge you for basically cardboard boxes.
Yeah.
$2,000 a month. That are just like shittily built because they're being built in 3 months. And it's like, there's so many of these establishments popping, but like $2,000 a month, $2,000 a month for a 1-bedroom apartment.
It's the amenities
with some amenities that aren't even that great.
That's it. The amenities.
Like it's setting the tone for like not great standards of quality.
What keeps me here is all of this, and I know we say we shouldn't look at other big cities, but that's who's about to move here. Like in the next, within the next 5 to 10 for sure years. So honestly, like a level of FOMO keeps me here because yes, I have faith in all of that. I also I know some people. Like I've met some folks in a few different ways. On the city official and development end to know for sure, like it's up. Like people don't invest billions of dollars into a geographic location for no fucking reason. I know that if I want to move to New York, I'm moving back soon because I don't want to pay for this shit, and there might be some type of climate emergency, and this is what keeps me away from all the fucking coasts.
Facts. That's real.
And St. Louis isn't exempt, right? And I, definitely don't want to speak on that, but that was drywall, not wood. Yes, all the reasons that you said, and then thank you, and then just like it's up. So like if I might be pissed off about this place now or a year ago or in a week, but I know that I'm gonna be even more pissed off when I leave and like come back to see like, oh, this wasn't even like this. Like, and we see that already with like the Grove and Shaw and probably
like,
Del Mar here soon.
We didn't even touch on other neighborhoods because like, downtown maybe not its best, but there are great neighborhoods in St. Louis. Like right now we're in Central West End. I love it, Central West End. Then you have places like, the Hill, fantastic atmosphere, fantastic food. You've got the Grove, excellent up and coming. Midtown, lots of investment happening there. South City, like there's a lot to talk about.
And the north side is really just the last frontier, which is also already happening.
Yeah.
Right. But like to get back into focus, right? Like all the things you said, I very clearly see the potential in St. Louis. Like I, in a way, have made a bit of a profession out of it in a way, right? But also being a bit more actionable. But also that is like, there's work to do. So what the fuck am I going to do? Let other people come in and do this? Like when we're perfectly able-bodied and minded, No, absolutely not.
So for me, I think about this almost every other day. It's what Murphy Lee said. I was like, why did you guys wear the jersey backwards? He's like, we stand for the people more so than the team. So, they're representing that player. And I was like, man, okay. And I think for me, I've come to realize as much as I was doing, and I'm always doing things for the city, it's the people that keep me here because it's the people we talk about that, we see numbers, companies see numbers, but it's actually the impact. Think about how many people have seen your murals. Think about how many people have seen your videos. Yeah, this one video goes viral, 100,000, million views, whatever. And then your next one is like 1,000. You're like, dang, it's weird how that kind of stuff works. Algorithms. But it's like people keep pushing me. They, and I understand the significance in what I do. St. Louis is very weird. And maybe this is just how the business world works. But it's like I've seen so many concepts and ideas that I have pitched to companies and places here like, hey, let's do this literally 3-4 years ago. and they're just now starting to do it. And it's just like, they don't reach out to me like, hey, Brad, and we finally have this spot. Like, let's do this. You know, you reached out to us. And they'll just reach out to somebody else with that whole concept. And so that's really where I've learned to not give out those ideas, because those ideas I was giving out just was, you know, innocently during COVID to try to help them. I'm like, I want to see maybe this hotel or this restaurant like to do well. And they're like, oh, we can't do it at that time, which is crazy to me because it was like no one was spending a dollar in that place. I think it was like going down on a trip that, you know, was fully paid for, being in the hotel as like a basketball player I grew up watching, the greatest of all time, you know, being treated like, you know what, hey, what you do, you're valued. You know, we respect you, we appreciate you, and you're just treated on a whole nother level than you are in your own city when you're looking to help out these places. It's always the people that keep me going. St. Louis just keeps moving in a weird direction. It's like, guys, like, I'm here to help you, right? You know, without people like us, Lando, the creator scene of what it is right now, where everyone wants to do what we're doing, and I'm all for having all different kinds of creators. I'm all for growing that, and like you guys talked about earlier on the show, is like St. Louis only sees it as one. So that's like one of the biggest problems we have, is they see it as one, but it's like they see what we do. We're innovators and we're trailblazers, and we're really trying to do our best to put on for the city, but we need the city to help and put on for us, whether that's, you know, for applying for grants. Like it's so crazy when people know you, they know what you do, they watch what you do, even like on your Instagram stories. Hey, you know, keep that up. Or actually, they don't even do that. But some people don't even do that. They have the opportunity, but instead of giving you that opportunity, it goes back to making a watered down version. For me, it's, you know, my family's here. I think just that passion of being here, but I will say that I am definitely open to exploring other cities. I'm still going to live here. You know, maybe this is my vacation house one day, but it's like, I can't keep moving at this. You know, we're always behind as a city here in the Midwest, and my mind is thinking 100 miles an hour. I'm thinking of the like creative stuff, and I pitch it to somebody. It takes them several years to adapt to it, and it's like, I have nothing else to show you. Like, this social media scene that you guys are seeing, and like the different forms, like we talk about it all the time. We'll try something, we'll tag something, and then next thing you know, bam, everyone's doing it. I've sat down with the travel boards or tourism boards here in St. Louis to be like, hey, like, let's do this. This is what I'm naturally doing. I've been ghosted by them. I've been, you know, it's like, I always have to remember, I'm doing it for the people. So the people,
wild that happens.
It happens all the time,
dude. I remember posting. I'll even call it out by name. I went to Sato, one of my favorite restaurants in the entire city, and I made a video because it was like for happy hour. I'm like, cool, I'll just make something simple with my phone, color graded a certain way, put text over it, whatever. And then 2 weeks later, I see a big page here in St. Louis do the same video, the same style,
same shots,
and it was just the same shots, the same warm color look. And I'm just like, dude, and that happens, like, it happened more than I like to admit, because, and that's one of the reasons I stopped making St. Louis content, is because my stuff would go this far, but then all these other bigger fish would be like, oh, that looks really good, we should do that. So then they do their watered down version, and they get all this. So why am I gonna just like work for the scraps that are left behind whenever the bigger fish are done eating? Why? And that's just with content creation. Like, I know that can be translated to probably any facet of life, but like, this content creation game is too much fucking work to be fighting for scraps. And then now that there's so many other creators, we're all having to fight for scraps, and it's like, bro.
So motherfuckers got to team up. Really.
And that's the other thing, is like, people need to collaborate. People need to be recognizing that there are other people doing this stuff.
A lot more people would be receptive to this than you might think, if you think that's.
I hope so, because like,
I know so.
It's
bro. People have brought your name up to me and like, have you considered Dante? I'm like, I know Dante. If I wanted Dante, we would be working with Dante. It's not really an issue of this, that, or the third. It's just like, what makes sense for what situation, right? But like, this is to say, people have brought you up to me, so it like, people know who y'all are. And you too.
Then
so
stop
like,
being strangers and actually work with us.
That's what I think is like
you
the
know?
Curious thing, right? Because it's like, and it's the same shit like this. Like, I have no problem admitting that like when we were here about this time last week, I was like, hey, can I be on the show, please? Can I please be on your show? That's not how I said it, obviously, but like,
which obviously I've wanted you on here for a minute, but like it's got to be
this is not that kind of situation, right? This is not.
I totally.
This is not why I bring that up, but like for a few reasons, like, am in a position where I like have to be a bit of a people watcher. For one, I have 2 kids,
same,
right? So there's that, and I'm not like
Very
super
valid.
outside. Like I was never like super outside. I stopped going out in St. Louis when I was fucking 17. Every party ended in gunfire. That's not a joke. So. For a few reasons, a couple of which were just named, I just like have been watching folks. I've been meeting a lot of folks because I'm of the belief that like relationships are kind of everything. Just, you know, this is not my fucking degree, right? How'd you get here? I'm guessing to some extent relationships.
Yeah.
Yes, no, maybe so.
No, 100%. I was able to quit my full-time job to be a freelancer full-time because of the relationships I built.
Same. So this is to say, and maybe all those relationships weren't in St. Louis, but at least like a nice mix. We know there's money here. We know there's hella talent here. Like I've and to this day, like still reach out to folks like, hey, I would love to work with you. I don't know what that thing is, but can we get some coffee? That's how Brad and I connected. Honestly, like that's probably how I know most of the folks is either they reached out or like I reached out. It was some combination, and like. Because like my consensus that I've gathered from all of this is like we all want the same shit, just for different avenues. So like I thought of y'all for some content shit on the way here, which we'll talk about off camera. But like
no free game.
Just think,
nope.
Everybody pretty much our age, just above our age and below, is like hella receptive to it. Anybody who's not is either getting ready to or has already left St. Louis for Atlanta, Chicago, LA, New York, and that's fine. They'll be back. Soon as them bills go up a little bit, they'll be back talking about, oh, I can't believe I left type shit. But what will St. Louis look like by then? I'm hoping a Lutopia of sorts cultivated by us instead of being priced out by these developers like we've seen and are seeing in some capacities. In some ways, around the corner from here.
Quite literally.
Yeah, quite literally around the corner from here. I think it's here though. I will not lie, it's hard as shit. It's incredibly difficult. This time last year, just before the whole conversation about the exhibit, I went to New York thinking like, I could live here. I just don't want to pay rent here like at all. But like I recently have been thinking about leaving St. Louis. And it's like, nah. It's just like
there's something that like it's just like keeping you, but you're like
nah.
You go somewhere else and you see the possibilities. You see like, oh, that's the thing I've needed to like be the next step in whatever I'm trying to build. Then you're like, St. Louis though.
I think, you know, like think about all the people that own the properties, the real estate downtown, wherever in St. Louis, and then they just let it rot. Right. But now we have a lot of people coming from outside of St. Louis and investing in it. And we're like, oh, something's suspicious. Why are you I mean, rightfully so. Like, okay, why are you guys buying?
And to add to that, the people who have let some of those, like Millennium Hotel, they don't live in St. Louis.
Oh, no, they're in a whole different continent.
Yeah.
I know that
literally.
part.
Yeah.
And that's not an exception to a lot of other spots in St. Louis. But that's it.
But yeah, you know, and it's like, I've had partnerships from a lot of companies outside of St. Louis. And so at this point with where I'm at, man, I've tried to work with the local brewery. Actually, most of them, I've tried to have them work with me. I've tried to, I'll be a little vague with it, but like I've tried to do things here. And now at this point, if there's an out-of-state company that wants to sponsor the work I am doing for St. Louis to support the city,
there's nothing wrong with that.
Let's do it.
And it shouldn't be looked down upon from people in St. Louis.
Not at all.
Like, why are you working with somebody that's not local? Like, are you really like not St. Louis, like pro community?
And then you say, well,
I've
you give me
seen that.
You give me $1,000 then.
Exactly. It's like we have to do what we can so that we can make this stuff happen. If that means other people have to step in and help and contribute to make that stuff a reality, don't get upset.
Because they see the potential.
We've tried.
They see the potential here.
Yes.
But our own city's not seeing that potential. And
we've tried.
So sometimes, you know, we gotta do what we gotta do.
I mean, I wouldn't even look at it from a guilty perspective. It's
not at all.
But like, there are people out there that would. They'd be like, oh, you're not for St. Louis. Because like whenever I said I was going to stop making St. Louis content, people were like, oh, so you don't love the city anymore? I'm like, I don't know how many calories did you burn jumping to that conclusion.
And how quiet were you up until this point? How much money have you contributed to this? Like,
or connected you to people?
Yeah, we ran out of storage. We ran out of a lot of things. And honestly, are you almost 15 minutes overdue?
Yeah, I gotta go.
Yeah, he gotta go. So thank you for tuning into this episode of This Into Mind. We're gonna have to run this back. We're gonna have to run this back because this is
part 2.
This is a much bigger conversation. I feel like we were just. Now that you're in the conversation, it's taking a whole shift. We got it. It's going to be an ongoing thing. So don't forget to subscribe, ring the notification bell, rate the show, like the show, subscribe, whatever. Hit download so that you get it downloaded to your queue every single Friday at 6 a.m. Central Time.
And if you're in St. Louis, you might die in 5 minutes. So you might as well just go ahead and try to do this thing. Do it now, please.
You know, it sounds jarring, but he does have a valid point.
It's factual.
I mean, like, no minute is guaranteed to anybody. So, hit subscribe, hit all that stuff. Lando keeps kicking my damn camera. I'll see y'all later. Peace.